Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Cosmic Chats with Quartz. I'm going to actually put my glasses on for this one. They're really dirty. You know what? It's going to be fine. It's going to be just fine. We are going to clean them quickly. Just a quick, and there we go. Now we're into it. I hope you guys are doing well. It is Monday, October 3rd. It's October 3rd. If you know, you know. Over on my Instagram, I made no one really enjoyed it as much as I did, but I feel like because Venus is in Libra right now, it's in my 7th house. And, there's a bit of an opposition here towards my personal Venus on my rising sign. So I'm really feeling the love energy for sure. It's Libra season. But I want to talk about today Cosmic Chats. We're going to go over what some of the astrology is for October. But before I get into it, if you don't know, obviously you guys can follow me over on my Instagram at iamcourtburns. That's like more entertainment purposes. I just like creating things there and like showing little snippets of my life. But over on Bravely Beautiful brand, which I will link below, that's my business. I talk about astrology things all the time. So feel free to come over and say hello. Or you can book a reading. Obviously, that's in there as well. And I'm on TikTok at iamcourtburns, where I do share things around astrology daily. So yeah, feel free to come over there if you want to as well. But in terms of today's video, I've got my coffee. This is my second one today. I just did my dip of the day. So this week's also, if you're new here, subscribe. And you will notice that on Sundays I post vlogs. I love creating vlogs or like just like a fun outlet. Like I like that. So I keep that on Sundays. And coming up this Sunday, I'm doing a dip a day. So basically a cold plunge every single day. I love doing cold plunges. Really good for your health. Okay. Now I just did one this morning and I feel fabulous. I'm going to the gym after this and then I'll come back and do some more work. But let's talk about what's going on in October for the astrology. Okay. So, for starters, obviously it's October 3rd. Welcome. I would love to know what you are manifesting or what your goals are in the comments below. I am a big believer in putting it out there, talking about it, making it very apparent and known what it is that you are wanting to call in. So, put it out there, put it in the comments. And yeah, we can see if we can support you through it, right? That's what being in community is all about. So October is obviously Libra season. That means the sun is in the sign of Libra. So happy birthday to all the Libras out there. Love Libra. I love Libra season right now even more because Venus is in Libra as well. And so this beautiful energy around what we value within connections and feeling a deep sense of gratitude for the people that are in our lives or even building new connections is really coming through. And I really, really love that. It's so beautiful. I'm like a little love. I love love. Secret about me. I used to hate it. I was like, ugh, ugh. But now I'm like, no, I am like love. Like I will cry at weddings. I will cry watching weddings. I will cry at birth vlog. Like I just love and gratitude feels. Like I just feel the feels, okay? So that's what I love, and I am not afraid to share it. But anyway, that's kind of like an overall feeling as well, like being in harvest season, you're harvesting the things that you've worked on, right? Like your crops are coming to a place where you're like, okay, what do I have to get me through winter, et cetera, et cetera. So I do feel like there's a lot that could be coming through in terms of this. And yeah, that's what I have to say on that. Now, I'm really excited to talk about what's coming up this October. It's big energy. There's big changes. Already today, as I opened this, I was like, oh my, like right before I opened it, I was like, oh my God, there's some things happening in my life, like especially around work for me and finances. Just given where the eclipses are. And I'm like, okay, what is going on? Essentially. So if you're already starting to feel some of it, you're not alone, especially if you're a highly sensitive person or an intuitive. You also might feel this a bit more. Now, October, personally, as we go into November, I always find a little bit destabilizing. not chaotic, but very uncomfortable because obviously we go into Scorpio season, which is all about the discomfort of life, finding light within the dark, facing your shadows, digging deep. What are your fears, like the subconscious or the psyche, what's going on there? And so it can be a hard time for a lot of people. And so I always say, like, as somebody who has I love health and wellness, sixth house Leo. I really think it's a optimal time right now to start creating a plan for yourself moving through the fall months if you're here in this hemisphere to support your body, to support moving your body. What does that feel like? And finding new routines that really help you. So then that way you are able to best support yourself when you're moving through big energy like this. So, booking a reading, doing breath work, going to energy healing, getting outside and soaking in what sun we do have. Really important. Doing cold dips, cold plunges, anything that's going to get you into your body. Somatic healing is super, super important, especially with the North Node in Taurus. So yeah, and this is where we're going to have eclipses. So let's talk about what's going on this month in the astrology. I'll talk about a couple of points. So I did mention already how we have the first part of this month in Libra season, but we also have Mercury stationing direct on October 2nd, which just happened. So now the clarity around what came up during that time during the Mercury retrograde is probably starting, the fog is probably starting to clear. So funny. Yesterday I went with my friend Veronica and we went for a little river dip and I was like, I can see clearly now the rain is gone. I better not get copyrighted for that. But that was like, I was like, Mercury's direct. Like that's the energy. And we're like getting into this water where we're washing away like whatever that fog is. And something that she had said to me yesterday that I actually think pairs really well with this Mercury direct is like paying attention to the signs and the voices or the symbols that have been coming up over the last couple of weeks and take action around what it is that those have been, right? So the universe basically will push us off the cliff if we're not doing it ourselves, eclipses. And if we are tuning in and listening to our inner guidance or the signs and things that have been coming through, following that route will be the in fact easier, sometimes difficult to make those decisions, but the route versus the universe pushing us off. And I think that's really a good example of Mercury stationing direct. It does take a while. It's a little slow in terms of like coming fully back online. So you might find some glitchy things, but for the most part, uh it's direct. So you did it. See, you collected enough evidence that you're going to be just fine, even though it was difficult during a Mercury retrograde. Put that in your evidence bank. What else? So we've got Mercury direct. We also are going to have Pluto move direct at the end of this week. So on the 8th of October, Pluto, the planet, the outer planets, those people want to be like, it's a dwarf planet. It's like way out there. Pluto is important. Pluto is very important. Okay. Pluto is so transformational. Pluto is small but mighty. And Pluto packs a punch. Okay. When I talk to my clients about Pluto, I'm like, Pluto is basically an excavator, right? Like I always think of the kids I used to work with and like the boys who would have like the diggers and I'm like, I have no clue what frick this digger is called. And they're like, Courtney, it's an excavator or an excavator or whatever. And I'm like, oh my God. And now I'm like, oh, that's Pluto. Literally, let's go dig it all out and start again. That's Pluto's job, right? And Pluto's been in Capricorn for since 2008. So like quite a while, right? And he's getting ready to wrap up his stay there and move into Aquarius. So these final degrees of Pluto being here is really important because it's an outer planet. We don't always feel the most transform. It doesn't happen like here. Whereas like the transformation kind of happens out here and then sort of we start to feel it slowly. And so I think we're seeing it on a very big collective level. We definitely are because it's in Capricorn final degree, changing the structures, changing the systems within ourselves as well. What are the beliefs, not even beliefs, what are the subconscious fears? What are the subconscious, what's in our drain pipe that needs to be plunged out, excavated, and restarted essentially? So Pluto really shines a light on that within all of us on an individual level and then within a collective level. And so Pluto stationing direct, you know, I personally don't feel this. That's not true. I definitely do feel it sometimes. I don't notice it enough to maybe I don't know. Maybe I haven't noticed it fully yet. I'm just kind of thinking out loud. It's interesting to me because as I had said, like, oh yeah, Pluto creates this like transformation from like you can kind of feel it further away before you can feel it close up. I think it also depends what planets it's hitting in your personal chart. But I do think collectively is where we are really seeing this change occur. So um an analogy or sort of what comes to mind is how the structures and systems are clinging on for dear life. Oh, as an Aquarius, I will find any reason to talk about the systems. Let me tell you that. But they're clinging. It's like they're clinging on like a leech. And Pluto's like, you can let go or you can pull the ripcord and let's just figure out a way to transform this. But it just takes time. So when it's going direct, I do think we'll notice maybe more things coming up in terms of the government and our structures. I don't know. We'll have to see what plays out. I don't know. It's kind of mysterious, right? Pluto's a very mysterious energy, and so there's only so much you can kind of say or I guess predict when it comes to that. Also, I don't want to like fear monger or anything like that. So I'm just gonna veer into the next thing. Okay, so then we have the full moon in Aries, which is directly after, and so that's going to be on October 9th, and it is at 4:55 p.m. Eastern time. Again, it's in Aries at 16 degrees. So you're going to want to look, I'll do a separate video on this with full moon in Aries, but for that, you're going to want to look and see where Aries is, what house Aries rules. We've talked about this many times. Again, I have resources on my website, so you can click the link below if you want to grab those and learn more. But essentially, the full moon in Aries is going to highlight something within each and every one of us on an individual level. Aries is about the self, right? It's about something in your life that you are passionate about, that you're pioneering for you. And so wherever you have this in your chart, you're going to experience that part of your chart is going to be illuminated under this full moon, something coming to a completion, right? Something coming to fruition, even. It doesn't have to be an ending. It could be something of manifestation, especially in Aries, because if you remember, the new moon in Aries happened at the beginning of the astrological new year in April. And so something that 6-month cycle really coming into a point of view here or Pathfinder. That's what's kind of coming to mind. And also Jupiter's been here. So there's been an expansion already in this area of your life, really asking you to go within and believe in your self-trust is like the word with Jupiter and Aries. Self-trust. Do you trust yourself? Do you believe in yourself? What are the beliefs you have around what it is that you want to pioneer, what you want to do as an individual in this lifetime? And are you acting? Are you behaving? Are you showing the universe, communicating through your behaviors that you do trust yourself? I think I'm calling myself out here on something actually as I said that, but that's sort of what's happening and what's going on. And so I think that there's a really great opportunity here for us to expand as individuals into this new phase of life under this full moon. So I'm actually excited for that. We'll do a full moon breakdown in a different video, but just as a reminder, that's happening on October the 9th. That's Thanksgiving weekend here in Canada. Then we're going to have Mercury move back into the sign of Libra. That'll be on October 10th. So again, that's going to bring more emphasis. Mercury's direct. We've already kind of been to this point. So we might be going back over an old conversation or an old contract that came up. But also new conversations, new contracts, signing new contracts, talking about new things. Anything that kind of was muggy or foggy or whatever during that first part of the Mercury retrograde is going to come back now. And we're going to have an opportunity to sort of retell the story in a new way. Okay, Saturn's also going to go direct. So we have another planet, an outer planet, Saturn, which will station direct. Look, I don't know if other astrologers talk about this, but I've mentioned this before, but when I read astrology, I do know obviously like the language, the lingo, what everything means, but I also get a lot of downloads in terms of what that astrology looks like, and then it sort of like opens up new things and new ways of thinking about things. And I kind of had this feeling that when Saturn went retrograde, that's when the government or the systems and structures in the world were going to loosen their grip. I just got this feeling, and that's exactly what happened. There was news around certain mandates and things kind of loosening up a little bit. Look, I live in Canada, so Canadians know, okay? There's been a lot of mandates here. A lot. And I know there has been other places too, but here it just seems to our government really wants to hang on tight. Okay? Anyway, that's my passionate side coming out. I'm not going to make this whole thing political, but there's that. So, anyway, there was a lot of that, and it felt like the restrictions kind of loosened up a bit. And when I see Saturn retrograde, I'm like, this is like a substitute teacher coming in. So it's funny because we've had all these different changes to rules and things coming back. And now that Saturn's going direct, I'm like, I think our teachers coming back, like I think our home teachers coming back from their long vacation and essentially is going to be like, what just happened here? However, it's close to the end of the year because Saturn is in its last portion of Saturn in Aquarius. So if you think about yourself like in grade 12, right? You're like, basically, like we just had a substitute teacher for this whole last time. Our teacher's coming back now, but I'm still graduating. Like we're getting out of this. So it's really interesting because I think there's an ending here. There's something that we're moving on from, but I also do think that teacher coming back, Saturn, is still going to reinstate some of the old rules potentially that have happened. Again, the term that comes to me is not going down without a fight. And I think this is really also in connection to the fact that we're going to have our final Saturn Uranus square and something's got to give. So it's this fight between the old and the new of what are my new beliefs? What are my old beliefs? If you think back 3 years ago, 2019 to 2022, like you're a different person. We are different people. We're experiencing a different form of ourselves. But internally, our process, our systems that go on within us are still really programmed for those old ways. And so the new takes time. Saturn, the new takes time. Saturn in Aquarius. Wow. Saturn must be really proud of me right now for channeling him like this because let me tell you, my Saturn return has been a doozy. Shout out to my podcast, Saturn Return Diaries. You can go over there and listen to it if you want to hear more. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Saturn retrograde or Saturn stationing direct potentially could have those implications coming back around, but I also think we're moving on from something. I think we're getting ready to graduate and move on. In March, Saturn moves into Pisces, so we're at this final like decan of Saturn being in Aquarius. Like we're in the final degree points. So we're really moving towards like something different. We're changing something. So again, quite mysterious, but there's definitely going to be some push and pull. I'll definitely say that. Okay, so then we've got Venus is going to enter Scorpio on October 23rd. Oof, look. So Venus entering Scorpio can be quite interesting. A lot of stuff can come up around our finances, investments. Those of you who are interested in the crypto space, I'm not one of those people, but I would definitely pay attention to that. Venus in Scorpio, I see as like a deep, passionate love. Like it wants to go deep with you in relationship. It wants to feel a deep connection. It wants to feel passionate about what it does. And it's like, I feel it more in like the root chakra energy, which is kind of interesting, like a very like Kundalini type of vibe. I've dated a lot of people with Venus and Scorpio. Love that because they're very loyal and they will literally do anything for you. There's a slight little like possessiveness sometimes, which I don't want to glorify because that can be not great. That can be a shadow. But I do think that is something that comes up. And so we do have to be mindful with Venus and Scorpio, like where are we letting fear overturn our desire for pleasure, our desire for money, our desire for love, right? I wonder when You comes out on Netflix because that is very Venus Scorpio. I feel like it's probably going to come out when Venus is in Scorpio. That will be facts. That's facts that astrology is for real. That's just pure facts. So there's that. Anyway, we'll talk more about that later, but that's going to happen later in the month. Sun will enter Scorpio as well. We will welcome the sun on the same day as Venus entering Scorpio. So there's going to be a connection that's being made with the energy of water around our money, love, around our value, where the sun is shining in our charts. And so this is going to be big. We're going to have an eclipse here as well coming up in November. So something to watch for. Juno will station direct in the sign of Pisces. I do like talking about Juno, not necessarily within transits, but for those of you who don't know, Juno can represent people that we're attracted to. So right now we might be noticing we're calling in more people who are connected to energy healing, spirituality, anyone who's talking more about things that are kind of more emotional, or maybe we even want to connect more on a level of healing with others. That can be very connected to that energy as well. Now what I also want to say is we want to talk about this new moon solar eclipse. So again, I'll do a completely different video on this, but the solar eclipse, partial solar eclipse, is on October 25th at 6:49 a.m. Eastern time, and it's at 2 degrees of Scorpio. This is where you're going to want to look and see where 2 degrees of Scorpio is in your birth chart. So what house does Scorpio rule? And what is going to be illuminated with a new moon there, a new beginning of sorts in whatever house. This is in my 8th house. So look, I'm really hoping that like something miraculously happens and like debt gets paid off in my life. Like that would be fabulous over the next 6 months. And it's actually one of my goals. So that would make sense for me, right? There's a new opportunity maybe for me to create finances in my life and pay off some debt. That's the 8th house. So you want to look and see where that is for you in your chart. Like I said, I'll do a completely different video on that, but Scorpio energy is very powerful. It's helping you transform. Hello, I have a Pluto moon, some Scorpio conjunction. My moon's at 29 degrees of Scorpio. Take it from me. Okay. Shit's intense, people. Anyway, someone on TikTok was like, they saw my birth chart and she's like, babe, are you okay? Pluto, moon, 8th house, Scorpio conjunction. I was like, thank you for checking in. I'm doing well. Thank you for noticing. I feel seen. So we're gonna have that new moon solar eclipse on the 25th, right before Halloween. Again, you can't make this shit up. It's so wild. I just love it. Jupiter retrograde on the 28th is gonna re-enter Pisces. Okay, I love this. Some astrologers are saying that this could bring things back in terms of viruses. I actually kind of see this as being more of a blessing. I think that Jupiter was like, hey, like, let's go scoot into Aries. We're going to like give you a little preview about what it's going to be about so you can prepare yourself. And then we're going to come back into Jupiter and Pisces and give you a little bit of something that you missed, a blessing for the growth and expansion that you just did in your life. And so I actually see this as being quite positive. I do think that there is going to be a little bit more with inflation coming up. Inflation within our world, inflation within emotion, a lot of healing needing to be happening. But I do actually think this is going to be, personally, I'm not mad about this transit. I don't think it's like bad. I do actually think it's like going back to collect something that it forgot. And then at the end of the month, Mercury will enter Scorpio on the 29th. So again, we're thinking our humor is going to be a little bit darker, deeper conversations. I love Mercury in Scorpio. I do love it. I appreciate it. It's having uncomfortable conversations, deep dive conversations, but honestly, like, I'm kind of here for it. However, very end, Mars is going to retrograde. So Mars will station retrograde on October 30th and stay there till March 25th. So it's a long one. This is one that everyone's been talking about. Mars retrograde is not, or Mars typically isn't, it doesn't stay this long in one sign. So we're definitely going to notice heated conversations, especially with Mercury being in the sign of Scorpio and Mars being in Gemini. These energies clash. In a sense, one is really deep, one is more surface level, but with Mars, the ruling, it rules things like it rules Aries. Aries rules Mars. So it's like getting to the point. Like, how can I like move my energy or get to the point or be very direct? And in Gemini, it's about having that conversation, right? Talking about lots of different things. It can be like we're having many different conversations. I just keep getting the sense that people are going to be having multiple partners. I know that sounds weird, but hey, to each their own. But I think more with Mars retrograde, it's like, okay, we're refiguring how we're using our masculine energy and how it is that we move our energy within the world. And I think that's something to be said about that men in general, like, there's a lot of healing that, has to be done within each and every one of us, but especially our own masculine, our feminine too. But the masculine energy has quite honestly been told not to share their emotions, their feelings, not to talk about how they feel, to hush hush, to bottle things up, to express their emotions as anger. That's been very common. And I think that lies within each and every one of us, no matter what gender we are. And I think that this is giving us an opportunity to heal that side of ourselves and also how you use your energy. So, are you somebody who hustle, work, move, must survive, patriarchal type of conditioning? I think that part of this is going to ask us to heal that. So, in the area of our life where this is going to be, we might notice a bit of a slowdown with our energy, and that's okay. That's totally okay. Mars retrograde can just get us to, I think just slow down a little bit, refigure how it is that we want to move forward, what it is that we truly want to focus our energy on. So it's kind of giving us that opportunity to do that. So, while also still having a few things on the go. So it's a little chaotic, but the Mercury and Venus being in the sign of Scorpio at the same time as a Mars retrograde is super interesting to me because I think people can be super reactive with that combination. Feels very combustible. So having like fights and arguments near the end of the month might be highly happening. So I think especially online, especially within the news, within our relationships, our early relationships with our siblings maybe, but I don't know. I think something with Gemini energy is like, how can we listen? How can we have an open mind? And that's something that Scorpio has to learn. So I'm going to leave it at that. This is going to be an interesting one. But anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you, everyone, for coming to this cosmic chat, having a little overview of October. I want to know what your goals are for the month or what you're manifesting below. I am also going to say, as we move into this very psychic energy of Scorpio season, great time for energy work, great time for an astrology reading, great time for going to see a psychic medium, doing something to enhance your own metaphysical skills that you have within you. So if you're curious about that or that's something that's piquing your interest, Mars and Gemini also. What are you curious about? What do you want to learn more of? So might be a great time to start kind of thinking and planning what that might look like for you. I will be having some courses coming up, so stay tuned for that. Follow me on Bravely Beautiful brand if you want to hear about my updates. Everything will be linked below. I will see you guys in my vlog this week, but I hope you have a beautiful October. And I love you guys. I love you, Libras. I love yous. I love yous. Peace out. Okay, bye. That was lame.